One of the reasons that our children go off track in public places so often is, I think, that before we get them into a public place with us, we separate from them in order to do all the things necessary to do the, build the shopping list and feed the cat and dust off the mud out of the front doorway and run around and find the keys, and then we need to put on their shoes, and then we need to sometimes put on their snow gear, and by the time you're ready to even leave the house, your mind has not been on your children. They haven't been able to feel any connection from you. And so the nonverbal information they get is, nobody's thinking about me at all. Who's watching out for me? And this sort of scares them slightly and separates them from us. And so then we ride in the car and they're in the back seat, we're in the front seat, we might be listening to the radio or concentrating on the traffic, which we absolutely need to do. All these things are fine. We need to do them. But what happens is you finally get to the grocery store, or you get to the library, or you get to drop them off at school, and they have been without connection for the last half hour. We haven't been able to pay attention to them. And so they then begin to have big feelings right in that public place where we were hoping they would be well behaved and reflect well on us. When they can't, their limbic system is going like this. Where is the person I'm connected to? Who can make me safe in this environment? And so their behavior begins to show that their mind isn't working well. So one of the things you can do using special time is to mitigate this effect by giving the children special time before you go off to church, or giving them 5 minutes of special time right before you get in the car. Or I used to give my children special time in the car. I'd get in the back seat and they could drive in the front seat and turn on the radio and make the blinkers blink and make the windshield wipers go, and they could have fun pretending, and I could admire them for 5 minutes and go, wow, this is really cool, where are we going? And after 5 minutes or so of that, then say, okay, it's time to go inside. And this doesn't guarantee you a happy shopping trip. There's nothing that I can do that will ever guarantee you that. But oftentimes, if you can find a way to keep a little bit of connection going, at the end of every aisle, sort of snuggle your head into your child's tummy, or ruffle their hair, or hop them on your back for a walk down the next aisle so they're with you. Anything you can do to sort of burnish the connection just a little bit, remind them that you're there, can give you a better chance of getting through a public experience without them having big feelings about being disconnected. So tantrums in public places are sometimes avoidable if you're putting your attention on ways to keep the connection, little flame, alive there. So on to how special time creates feelings of emotional safety. In a way, if your child has been, having difficulty, has been uncooperative, has been showing off-track behavior for a while, and you've been worn down by this, the path back to more cooperation and more connection is really through special time. It's like special time is a very, very important tool. It's as important as setting limits. But you can't, these two tools do not replace one another. These tools are both important in their own right, and they kind of need to be balanced. You need to be paying some attention to the big, generous yes of special time, and some attention to the big, generous no of bringing the limit, and then stay listening, then offering some resource and some connection for your child in order to help heal the hurt of having gotten disconnected and build the sense of closeness. Special time doesn't look like much. So I told you a story in the last segment of a child who astounded her father by using their very first special time ever to show him in no uncertain terms how she was interpreting his discipline model. You get taken to the room, you get told you're bad, you get told you can't come out until you're better, and then you get told I don't love you. That was all right out there, crystal clear. Other children do not do this. Your child may not do this at all. I had one mom whose child was very aggressive. She was looking for serious help because the school was not sure they could keep him. He was having such trouble controlling his impulses at school. And we got her doing special time. And she came back after the first week of us talking about special time and said, you know, it wasn't really anything. You know, I said, do you want special time? And he said, yeah, I get to do whatever I want. And she said, yeah, you do. And he said, okay, Mom, I want to take off all my clothes and get in bed, and you can read me this story, which is a story she's read him 25 or 30 times before. And she thought, what a dud. All he wants to do is climb in bed with his clothes off, and I have to read this story that I've read him so many times. And so she told me, nothing happened. I read him the story, he laid in bed, it was nothing. I don't see the use of this. What's actually going on there is that there is trust that's beginning to build. It's like when you tell a child you'll do anything they want you to do, and then you do this within reason. It's like you don't go play chess in the middle of a busy street because they want to, you know. It's like, no, sweetie, we can't play chess in the middle of a busy street. Let's play it on the sidewalk instead. So anything that would be dangerous or way too expensive or would damage things, you try to find a way that it can be done in a safe way. So, so you might modify things just very slightly in order to keep it safe, in order to keep yourself safe. But for instance, if they want to jump out of the bottom story window in their bedroom into the garden, and you're worried about, you know, broken ankles, you can say, well, we can't do that this week, but I'll go get an old mattress or an old chaise lounge pad, and I'll put it out there, and you can jump on that next week, okay? I'll figure out how to do that. So there are things you can do to make things safe that will fill your child's dreams and make them very, very excited about doing special time with you. And in the case of the mom who thought that special time was a dud, what really happened was her child lit up at the idea of special time. He knew exactly what he wanted to do. He got a chance to take off his clothes in the middle of the day and climb in bed and snuggle with her. To him, it was special in a big way. To her, she was waiting for him to do something totally outrageous or something they'd never done before, and that was not on his agenda. He got to do exactly what was on his mind. It was perfect. It was a good special time. So you don't have to look for fireworks or for something unusual. What you want to look for is just the chance to pour connection in. Even if your child looks like they're not connecting at all, even if they are totally absorbed in their train set or their Barbies or their experiment to see if they can throw a rock all the way over the house and have it land on the other side, you know, or they want to show you their skateboard tricks out there in the driveway. It's like whatever it is, you know, you get ready for it and you do it, and your child knows exactly the way that your attention can begin to fill his or her needs. And they'll start out with certain things, and sometimes it's very mild little stuff that happens every day. And after 10 times of special time, all of a sudden they'll turn and they'll say, you know, I want to paint your face up. And it's like, whoa, totally new idea. It's like, and you're going, oh, I don't really want my face all painted up. But you go, sure, okay, how am I going to look? And they laugh and they say, I have big ideas. And they're laughing for the first time because they're going to make you look ridiculous. And they want to laugh at you looking ridiculous. It's like the trust built very slowly with very ordinary things. And all of a sudden, they then, you know, figure, okay, he's really going to do special time the way I want to. And then they can have a bigger idea. Then they can try something fresh and new. So don't worry about your child, you know, doing ordinary things during special time. Trust is, you have to really assume that trust will be building. Assume that your child wants your attention in this way. Assume that as soon as they can trust you, they'll use it in interesting and informative and useful ways. And in between, you know, good things are happening. A sense of safety is building. For parents of older children, what often happens with special time is that your child who has been angry with you but never shedding feelings, they just have an attitude, and there's a there's really a crust of anger or a crust of dissatisfaction on them lots and lots of times, like the clouds have rolled in and they haven't lifted for months and months. When you start doing special time, your child won't want to, and so what you need to do is, move in and say, well, that's okay. If you can't think of what to do, I'll just be here for a little while. We said 20 minutes, so I'll be with you. And if something comes to your mind, let me know. Oh, I'm so bored. Okay, I'll still be with you. I'm sorry you're bored. So you just stay, and you just not be disturbed by whatever it is that they feel. Slowly but surely, they'll begin to trust that you're a listener some of the time, instead of feeling triggered by you every time they see you because you've been telling them what to do and they haven't wanted to do it. It just lifts the compulsions out of the relationship and allows there to be a little breathing space for them to try it out, whether they might want to do something with you. They might want to say what they really want. They might want to see what you do with that. And what happens, what parents continue to tell us over and over, is that as you do special time, children's defenses begin to melt. And what happens is that there's more play and there's more laughter. And that when they are upset, instead of, removing themselves and staying hard and moody for hours and days, they blow up and they have a good cry. They stomp around the house. They make everybody sure that they know exactly why they're unhappy. But in the middle of that, they can cry. And in the middle of that, it's very difficult to hang in there, but in the middle of that, if you can hang in there and just stay present for whatever they want to say, it resolves and they feel closer to you. And so there's less moodiness and less attitude, more play on the one side and connection, and then more really useful, working through of emotions on the other side, which remains difficult. But it's, you can get good at it. It's really hard to get good at enduring a moody person in your household. There are skills to learn, and there's usefulness to staying with someone who's actually working through feelings and getting somewhere. And the ways in which you get upset when they get upset can be taken to a listening partnership, so you can make progress in your ability to keep your wits about you and keep remembering this is a good process. This is what needs to happen. These feelings need to be felt and expressed in order for us to get closer, because these feelings stand in between me and my child. So you on your end can build your skill and build your, it's not patience really, because you're not trying to endure something. You're actually trying to be a listener. You're trying to be someone who supports a process that your child needs to go through in order to grab back some happiness in their life, in order to feel closer to you. So special time is like vitamins. You don't ever attach it to, well, sweetie, if you eat your broccoli, then we can do special time after dinner. You don't make it a reward. You don't make it a condition. It's like, if you X, Y, or Z, then we can have special time. You just plant it in your life, just like you plant toothbrushing in your life, just like you plant making sure your children sleep 8 hours at least, or 10 hours. You plant it in your life like a practice.